So retail is taking a beating pretty much globally because you have two things. I don't know the Slovene retail market as well as maybe the business-to-business market, but what's typically happening is in all markets, in Slovenia especially, is the amount of commercial real estate is increasing. The total amount of spending is flat or near flat, and that you have online purchases happening on top of that. So what's happening is per square meter, the critical measurement, new store or store on store per square meter metrics are going down. What's the counter to that? Well, this is again a global problem. Retail stores are trying to figure out what it means to be retail and how do you be unique. The second thing is, I'd go back to sales. And again, how do you sell and what are you selling? It needs to be a great experience. It needs to have people who help you solve the problem, not just take your order. So a small Slovene company can't compete selling the same way that an IKEA does. So if you're going to operate that way, you have to figure out what kind of additional services, both in terms of just small details and the personality. So great example would be, say, something like Mitch Styling, who does hair, right? You go in there and they bring you a coffee. They're charging the most. But that small little detail, that's the kinds of things that retail needs to do to start to get a competitive advantage. So Slovenia is very strong in lots of other areas, such as engineering, management, finance. There's a couple areas where it's been deficient, and that's one of the reasons I came here. And you see that changing. This conference is a good example. But it's basically because of two things. One is history. So in the way that the economics worked here, you had one company that could sell a Hewlett-Packard computer, and that was, Hermes. So you didn't need to be a great salesman, you just had to have the product. Gorenje didn't have to work too hard to sell its products throughout Eastern Europe. There were people screaming for it. The second thing is, it's a small community with lots of natural barriers. People don't enter this market just because they don't want to be bothered with how small it is. Unique language, unique legal structure. European Union has broke down some of that and we now have more competition, but I remember Sixt Rent-A-Car, for example, you could not drive your car in Slovenia, but every other country around was okay. They just couldn't be bothered figuring out what the laws were here. So as a result, we're small, everybody knows everybody. If I want to meet the IT director of Triglav, I've got 20 people in my phone that could get me a lunch meeting. I don't need to get to the point. I can spend an entire time. I don't need to have great sales skills because I can use time. And I don't have a lot of competition, so as a consequence, I don't need to be very good. And since nobody was good 20 years ago, or very few, it's hard to have them now. Today we talked a little bit about new product launches. When you're doing a new product launch, one of the things I said is every new product launch has, based on the research, if they're successful, between 1 and 3 things wrong. They're going to have to throw away something. You have to do what's called a business pivot. Something is going to have to be changed, which means you have to throw away a lot of work you already did. If you're not on the front line with the people doing the sales, you will never believe that message that you have to throw away something to be successful. And to do that takes incredible courage. And so as a consequence, you can't just outsource it because you'll never believe the feedback. And for sure, and they're also, those people are not going to be great at gathering that feedback. They are just going to try and sell, it doesn't sell, move on. So you can partner with somebody outside, but you need to be actively involved in the sales.